So today I'm going to be talking about my Dometic 300 series toilet and the things that kind of drive me crazy. So first, if you ever have this problem where you go to press the pedal on the bottom of the toilet and you notice that the bottom is actually opening before the water ever even turns on. Now, if you know your toilet and you've had it new, you know that the spray should come on before that opening actually opens up down there, so that way you can fill it with water when you need to use it. Well, in this case, the only thing that it does is spray when you're flushing it, and it does not fill the toilet. So that is a valve problem, and I'm going to show you how to fix it. Now, when I have these valve problems, what you also want to do is go look behind the valve, and not always, but sometimes you'll get a water leak. We have a small drip of water coming out of that valve. So if you're finding water also on the floor in your bathroom by your RV toilet, it may be the valve that's leaking. So that's the problem with ours. It all comes down to this valve. This is about a $10 to $15 valve and very easy to replace. So to replace this valve, you want to make sure that your water supply on the outside is not hooked up, so you don't have any pressure coming in from your city water hookup. And you need the pump turned off to your freshwater tank so you don't have any water getting pumped in from your pump. This relieves all the pressure so you can change that valve. So this is the valve that we're going to be replacing. And this is not the one that's in the toilet now. And this is not a new one. This just happens to be one that I had laying around from the last time I had to replace this. So if you have this toilet, just expect to have to replace these, I don't know, every couple years, according to how much you use your RV, maybe even more often. I'll put a link to this item down in the description so you can get it online pretty cheap. And you know what? I recommend having a spare. You never know when you're going to have this problem. So let's get to it and put the new valve in. This is the new valve that I got off Amazon. Let's take it out of the package and I'll show you all the parts in it. So there are 2 screws that hold this in. Even though it's got these little snaps to hold it in, there's also 2 screws. And you're going to need a hose clamp like this, which usually comes with these, so you can put the hose on this part of the valve. All right, so just so you can see back here, there is your water supply hose that hooks up to this threaded portion of the valve. Then you have this hose here that goes to the sprayer that's actually in the bowl of this toilet, and they all connect to this valve here. This valve is held in by 2 screws, one on each side of this. There's a little screw hole here and a screw hole here on the inside. You put 2 screws in there. Those are important because you want that valve in there nice and snug. So when you push down on the toilet flusher, it'll have the appropriate reaction that the toilet needs. Like when you're pushing down on it, if this valve moves out too far, well, then it's not going to work right when it comes to spraying. And then it just has 2 little push clamps here. You just get a flathead screwdriver and push it onto both of those after the screws are out, and then the whole valve just comes out. So now I'm going to take this one off and put the new one on. And there you have the new one in. Again, you just put this compression nut here for this elbow on the threaded portion of the valve, and then you retighten this hose back on there. The snaps, as you can see right here, they're not fully touching against the plastic. That's because the screws are there and they're actually holding it in. The clips are kind of like a secondary thing. You really want those screws in there holding well. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the pump on, repressurize the system, and first make sure there's no leaks back here. All right, so what you do is you come in here and you need to fill around the whole thing. Make sure there's no water dripping out anywhere, not from the bottom of this hose here or from the valve threaded section here, just nowhere. You don't want any water drippage at all, moisture. Let it sit for a little while. Maybe put a towel underneath it and check it the next day. Water is very harmful to an RV, and you don't want to let leaks just continue to happen. As soon as you see them, fix them. So this looks good. Let's test the flushing portion. So if you know how an RV toilet should be working, or at least this series of toilet, you barely touch the actual flush pedal and it sprays water. And as you can see, the valve down there is not open to flush it, so it allows you to fill up the bowl on the toilet. You let off, it stays full, you do your business, then you flush it. And you do that by just pushing it all the way down. Now, one of the ways these valves can get destroyed, and I think it's partly why we go through so many, is if you don't know how to use the toilet, Or in our case, if you know how to use it, yet you have guests that don't, if you push down too hard on this flusher, it will destroy that valve in there, because that valve is the whole reason this flusher works the way it does, and it's supposed to spray water at the right time. So if you come in here and you stomp on this pedal and you just stomp it all the way down to the floor, which I've seen people do in my RV, that either will break it or it will get it ready to break. So you need to educate people how to use these, and I'm even thinking on putting something underneath this pedal so that way when you go to push it, it only goes so far to the floor, because it stops before it hits the floor. And if you put a lot of pressure on that, not only would you maybe break this pedal, but you're definitely going to put a lot of stress on your valve and possibly break it. So educate people on your toilets on how to flush these, how to use this valve. And if you're a toilet manufacturer, how about putting these valves close enough to the floor so when someone goes to push it and they push it all the way, it actually touches the floor and keeps it from breaking your valve. I don't know, just a thought. Either that or put some big stopper or something, because allowing people to push it further to break the replacement valve is, one, a design problem, and two, a money problem. Maybe not for y'all, because maybe you can sell these valves for 50 bucks a pop, but for the people that want to have a working toilet, they get real tired of replacing those valves. All right, well, it's all installed. I hope this was helpful. Thank you very much for watching. Y'all take care.